Alright, so I had a company reach out to me because of my YouTube channel about testing some LED lights, and so they gave me a link to Amazon. They sent me the PayPal funds to purchase the thing from Amazon, and now they want me to review these lights. It came in the mail via Amazon today. My first impression is you guys need to work on your my first impression would be, number one, put something on the box. That would be, there's no company name, there's no picture of what's inside of the box, and I realize this is a cheap Chinese light kit. These things are about $30, give or take. But you know, first thing when I take it out of the Amazon envelope is it's just in a cardboard box with nothing on it. The lights seem to actually be relatively decently constructed. They have a hard metal case on the outside of them. You hear rattling around in there, that's for the mounting brackets. They come in a pair of two. I'm going to put these on my go-kart. I'm going to at least attempt to put these on my go-kart. I'm going to have to chase down a battery and all that other, but anyway. They give you a operating manual. To somebody who'd never actually hooked something up with a switch before, they may want to be a bit more descriptive than that, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I've done this before in the past, so that's not an issue. I've put in fog lights and stuff like that on dune buggies and trucks that I've had in the past. Then you open up to the directions. You guys might want to take a page out of the Revell and Monogram model car instructions, to be quite honest with you. Looking at this, these are going to be, they're not going to be any help, because I've got good vision and I can't see that shit. Anyway, comes with your mounting hardware and an Allen wrench. So I'm going to figure out how to put these brackets on there. What do you think, Kitty? What do you think of the box? Yeah, Kitty doesn't even like the box. Alright, so I'm going to check back with you in a second when I got these brackets on the thingamadoos. Alright, so this process here is a little iffy because those bolts just kind of slide around in there, but it is kind of neat how they did that. The bolt doesn't spin in the back because it's exactly the size as that channel. It's decent quality hardware for what it is. Chances are the first time this gets wet it's going to rust though. And I would probably, definitely, if you're going to do this on something with high vibration, I would get some Loctite and put it on there. Because I don't foresee, even with as decent as this hardware seems going together, I don't see this not vibrating apart. That's a short fucking wire right there. And I know you just got to crimp them together, what have you. But so far, I haven't spent any money on this, but now comes the point where I have to go spend money on this because this is not a complete kit. It's just lights, so I have to go buy wire, and I gotta buy a switch, and then I gotta figure out what I'm gonna use for a power source on the go-kart itself. But even if I were gonna use these on a truck or a boat or anything, at this point, okay, you've spent your $40 or whatever these things are, and it's not a complete kit. You gotta go get wire and a switch. So I guess I get to go get wire and a switch. That's exciting. I found this part of the instruction manual that to be quite entertaining here, and this is actually a lie. What do I need to install this bar in my Ford Explorer 2000? That's exciting. And then, nothing special tools. Please check the size and model before you install it, and the screws and brackets will come with the light free. Number one, grammatically, this is, I'm not even very smart, and this grammatically is yeah. Now, what are you going to need to install these? You're going to need a switch. You're going to need some butt connectors. You're going to need some crimpers. You're going to need some wire strippers. You're going to need some wire. This is funny. Let's see. Do these produce any interference with the radio? I've had some LED lights that cause static interference. No, they won't. I mean, There we go, right there. They are not supplied with harness, but wiring to the circuit should prevent few difficulties. Only 2-wire unit. I mean, anyway. Alright, so flash forward a week. I had to order a battery. That was $18. I had these spade connectors that are going to go on there. I had these butt connectors. I had to go spend $13 on wire and a switch. I had the drill bit, and then I had to spend about $2 on some different hardware because the screws that come in there, the nuts and bolts that come in this thing, are not long enough by any stretch of the imagination to mount to just about anything. You'll see the difference in the length is what I'm working with there. And I switched over to American bolts from Metric because that's what they had at Lowe's, and I didn't feel like dicking around anymore. So I've done a test light on these. They're super bright, so it's looking like I'm only going to end up putting one of them on the go-kart for now. I got to pull out my wire strippers and pull the go-kart out and get out my drill so I can drill a hole, and we'll go from there. Alright, so you guys remember this thing that I built for my daughter going on 2 Christmases ago that she didn't want nothing to do with, so rather than let it go to waste, I've been riding it and letting everybody in the neighborhood who wants to ride it. Definitely need to put some oil on the chain. It sat out in the rain for about 4 hours and it's starting to get some surface rust. Didn't mean to leave it out in the rain. I left it out and we weren't home. Anyway, I got to figure out where to mount that battery, and I'm going to put that one light directly in the middle there. Probably end up using the other one on the rack on top of the Subaru at some point. But yeah, I'm going to have to drill a hole, and anyway, let's figure it out. So we got a switch that'll tell you positive. Middle is the accessory, which gives the power out to the light. Bottom is the ground. This is where the battery is going to live. I got a couple of little marks there. I'm going to drill a couple of holes and add some good old zip ties to that. Right there is where this light is going to live. I got a little mark there to drill a hole in it, and then once I get it mounted there, I can use the adjustment on the bottom to adjust the light upward, give or take, because this piece here is going to be stationary. The light itself actually moves. So, yep, check back with you in a second. Alright, so at this point you can see I got the battery strapped down. It's not going anywhere. Got the light bolted on, angled up as far as it'll go, which is fine. This thing doesn't need to be obnoxious and in people's faces at all. It's angled down a little ways, which is just fine. And I got my butt connectors on over here. I'm going to hook this side here, which comes out on the red wire, to the accessory port on here, and then power and ground. And I'm actually just going to share a ground wire between them because this thing doesn't have an alternator. There is, if I could find an old Baja motor, there is a way that I can put a internal flywheel magneto on this thing to run a charge wire, to which perhaps at another time. I tried to find one of those, and a guy actually lied to me, and that's a long story. I lost $40. Anyhow, I'm going to run these wires. I drilled a couple of holes down in here so that I can secure the wire with a zip tie up into where it's going. I'll check back with you in a minute. Alright, so I did this as tidy as I possibly could, and I know somebody out there in the comments section is going to tell me, why didn't you use a red wire and a black wire? My attention span goes further than here to there, so I can figure out and remember which wire down there was red, which one was, you know. Okay, so I fished. This is the positive wire, and it goes up, goes into the positive side of the plug. Negative wire goes up into a shared ground. It goes back to the battery, and then the power from the battery, and then the switch, which the switch is actually upside down, and I don't really give a shit. But so it works. at the moment. I will check back with you guys tonight when it's dark and I can actually utilize that light and see how bright it actually is. As you can see, it's a little warm in the south. Perhaps I need to cut my beard. Anyhow, so to recap, those lights cost $29, give or take. You got to do your processing, your whatever. They're 30 bucks. I realized if you were putting them on a car, you wouldn't have to buy the battery. Okay, so take that out of the equation, even though I spent $18 on that battery. I spent $13 on wire and a switch because the kit was not complete. And I only used one of those lights. And if I had an opinion about those lights, they are obnoxious. I'm sure that there's an entire demographic of like 16 to 25-year-old guys that cut the mufflers off their trucks, raise the front and not the back, who like to hang their head out the window and bark like a dog at people on bicycles when they ride by, like when I took my bike trip. And I know opinions are like assholes, everybody has one, but my opinion is I would rather ride that go-kart with no lights on it than with that light. I've got 20/15 vision and it messes with my eyes. It's not eye friendly, it's not ride friendly, it's a superiorly, like, that's not even a word. It's a high quality product when you hold it in your hand. I mean, it's decent billet aluminum, but before I could even go out and ride the thing, part of the wiring harness that came out of the light broke off inside of the butt connector. And I doubt that was my fault because that's not my first rodeo. I can't tell you how many times I've wired CBs, CD players, fog lights, light bars, all kinds of shit on all kinds of things that I've had along the way. And I've never had an issue with a wire breaking off inside of the butt connector. So the wire that comes out of it is junk. Could stand to be a, like, I don't know, maybe one size bigger. If I had to guess, it's probably like 18 gauge, maybe 16. It could stand to maybe be a 14 or a 12, just so you got something else to work with. And it comes with like less than a half an inch of wire sticking out of the harness. So unless you want to go slicing that down with a razor blade down the middle and then cutting into that, that's not a good idea. I'd put a longer pigtail on it. I would increase the length, or excuse me, the girth of the wire itself. And you definitely need to get some longer screws for mounting purposes, because 3/4 inch nuts and bolts, well, 3/4 inch bolt, whatever that translates over into metric. Even if I was trying to put them on the rack on top of the Subaru, that wouldn't be enough, and I would have to go out and get different hardware. So thanks to the company for sending them to me. I have another one that I probably won't end up using. And I mean, I guess maybe if you had them, I don't know. The light is offensive to me, and I use LED lights for all kinds of things. I have LED lighting in my house over there in my kitchen. I got LED in the hallways. I got LED lights from when I'm filming, and they don't bother my eyes. But something about that light that came out of that thing bothers my eyes. So that's it for now. If anybody decides they would like to buy this product, the link is down there in the description, and hopefully you like this video. I have a dash cam to do a review on next, That should be exciting. Check back later. And I'm not going to do it this time because this one's a sponsored video. Who am I trying to kid, you fuckers?